Somewhere beyond the recesses of time and space, two podcasters are set adrift in a machine, picking up transmissions of movies that are forgotten but not gone.
Welcome to Movie Memory Machine, the only podcast about forgotten movies that doesn't need psychic visions to see the future. We have a friggin' time machine. I am your host, Landon Solano, joined always by my co-host, Truman Caps. Truman, it's good to see you.
Landon,
it's good to see you in my mind's eye.
I've been haunting you, Landon, and I've also been I've been reciting nursery rhymes and old songs, but in a really creepy way, which is how you know that I'm scary and menacing.
I don't even know what's the difference between haunting someone and having a vision of someone.
Yeah, well, one implies that the person in your dreams is there because they're trying to be there and trying to fuck with you, and then the other one implies that you're just seeing this person because you're all hung up on them and they don't know anything about it. But the movie in dreams has not given a lot of thought to what's going on in the dreams.
I have a patented series of questions for you later on to try to get to the bottom of that.
You can't patent the concept of a series of questions. Otherwise, the inventors of the game 20 Questions would have beat you to the punch.
Well, they didn't. They didn't patent it, and I did. So I'm going to beat them to the punch, and I want retroactive reparations. I want retroactive residuals from everything that they've done up to this point.
Only the 20 Questions people, or everyone who has ever asked a series of questions?
Anything where there is an involvement of a series of questions. So Jeopardy, other game shows.
Wow.
You know what? Fuck it. Talk shows.
Okay. I mean, they do ask a series of questions. There's usually a lot of banter in between them. Well, look, you're also probably gonna get royalties from lawyers because they ask lots of questions. So
hell yeah, dude. Maybe the richest man ever.
But the downside to that, though, is that those lawyers are probably going to fight it in court, and that's their whole job. They're going to ask you a series of questions to prove that they don't owe you money for asking a series of questions.
But you know what? That's where I petition the judge to say, this is the very thing that we're arguing, so I don't think that they should be allowed to use the very thing that we're arguing over. So taking the tool out of their utility belt, they have to argue without asking any questions.
So the kind of scene that Landon and I have so evocatively painted here is really a lot more surreal and a lot more creepy than a lot of the dream imagery in the movie In Dreams, which I'm sure we'll get to through one of your patented or unpatented questions.
Yes. Okay. Well, this isn't part of the series of questions. This is just a standalone opener.
The motherfucker loves questions. We know this about Landon.
I don't know how you can answer this or ask this question seriously, but I'm going to try.
Okay.
Have you ever had something, and this is a safe space, have you ever had a moment where you feel like you tapped into some sort of sense of the future?
I mean, well, I do have a pretty well-documented anxiety disorder. Well-documented in terms of that I talk about it on podcasts a lot. But so, for much of my life, I have kind of always naturally assumed that the worst possible thing is going to happen, and lately, all the worst things in the world have all been happening, so I guess I have been having premonitions of the future in that regard. But never specifically through dreams or through surreal imagery that I had to interpret.
Yeah, and I didn't want to limit it to, like, visions necessarily, but just any, and it could be, like, low stakes, it could be high stakes, but anything specific to, like, where you can go, okay, I don't believe in this necessarily, but I can't explain that.
There have been a lot of times where I think I have predicted a thing, maybe a trivial or minor thing that was going to happen, but I think that prediction had everything to do with me just kind of looking at circumstances and making an educated guess, and nothing to do with, like, the hand of God coming down and poking my brain. Have you ever had a vision that predicted the future? Because you ask a question like that almost as though you're expecting to get asked it in return because you have a humdinger of a response.
Truman, we've been doing this for 8 years. You should know that I always ask questions, always surprised that someone asks the question back at me when I ask it.
I had a vision of you responding with a really juicy anecdote, so clearly, clearly it doesn't happen for me.
I've never said this aloud before.
Ooh. This is juicy.
To anyone. Not even my therapists when I was going.
Okay.
Because it's crazy, and I recognize how crazy it is, but it did, okay, I don't think it's a thing, obviously.
Yeah.
I will say that it affected me in a way that made me, weirded out for a very long time, even long after... Not long after. Even after the event itself occurred, it overshadowed my experience for a while. But then when that dust started to settle, I was like, okay, that was weird.
Mm-hmm. And?
The date was September 10th.
Oh no, what year?
2001.
Oh shit. Here I was thinking Landon was going to reveal he's the Zodiac Killer, but this is a much bigger body count than I was expecting.
Yeah, and I don't mean to be glib about this at all. In fact, it's such a stupid, anecdote, but, I was, chatting with someone, a high school friend on ICQ back in those days. That's how fucking old I am. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
And...
that's the sound that ICQ would make.
Yes. Not to be confused with ICP, which they predict all kinds of weird things that I'm not into. Their predictions are mostly surrounding magnets.
Yeah, they make a lot of predictions about people getting covered in Faygo, though, and those always come true.
Anyway, I don't even remember what exactly we were talking about. We veered kind of philosophical for age, whatever I was. I guess it would have been 19.
Mm-hmm.
Not obviously having any life experience or knowing what the fuck we were talking about, but I do distinctly remember typing the message, I think we're all fucked because some sort of man-made disaster is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Something to that extent.
Specifically in reference to, the government is going to use some kind of disaster to exert more control and start a war.
No, I think at that time it was probably... maybe engrossed in the, I don't know if climate change was really on my mind back then. I don't know. I think my nihilism and my cynicism was baked in from such an early age that I'm just I don't know. I don't have any faith in humanity, and something man is going to do is going to bring us down. It's not going to be a natural disaster.
I think that, I agree that you've been nihilistic and cynical for a very long time. I don't think that it's all that rare for a 19-year-old to be nihilistic and cynical. That's sort of prime territory for it, really. Was this... when you typed those words, did you feel were you having visions of anything?
No.
Do you feel like you were seized by an otherworldly force that gave you a vision that something was coming?
No, not even a little bit. Not even a tiny little itty bitty bit.
Okay.
I will. The extent of it was the next day after the events happened. It might not even have been the next day. It might have been a couple days later when I was back on ICQ talking with my friend. It was dude. Yeah, I know. We both acknowledged the exchange happened. And that it was weird that it happened.
Okay, well, you know what I think is really weird, Landon, is that you knew 9/11 was coming and you didn't do anything to stop it. That's...
No,
that's
I
freakier than
plead
the movie.
fifth. I'm going to take the Annette Bening argument in that I can't see the detail. I couldn't see the face of 9/11. I could just see disaster looming. I didn't know when or where or who or why.
You kind of just felt like a bad thing was going to happen. It was shit seems kind of fucked up right now. You didn't even know it was going to be tomorrow.
I didn't even mean, immediately. I just meant, in life, that's what's going to happen.
It's funny, because, on the one hand, you can take this one way and say, today on the podcast, we learned that Landon predicted 9/11. On the other hand, you can go the other way and be like, Landon was in kind of a bummed-out mood in his late teens talking to someone online, and then 9/11 happened the next day. So
please use that interpretation.
Okay, so
that is the truth.
So that really is the anecdote that you came back at me with, was that like, well, one time I was bummed out on the internet.
Yes, exactly.
And you know what? And then we both of us have then made being bummed out on the internet kind of our whole thing. So that was a premonition of your future.
Hey, was it a premonition, or did I will that into being?
Or are you being punished for not stopping 9/11?
This is going to be a thing now. I know that I should. This is why I haven't spoken of it in the last 25 years.
I really hope that all of your therapists would have dunked on you for it as well. Okay, I think that we've already given listeners a premonition of what this episode is going to be like, cohesiveness-wise, but maybe we should kind of ease into doing the thing that the podcast is about, as much as I'm enjoying this.
Fine. Today, the machine made us watch In Dreams from 1999.
Woo!
Truman hallucinate a prescient vision that gives us some sense of what the fuck is happening in this film.
I'm going to just take a big old bite of an apple and get right into it.
Okay.
New England children's book illustrator Claire Cooper, played by Annette Bening, is tormented by surreal dreams of a strange man leading a little girl through an apple orchard. These dreams coincide with the kidnapping of a local child by a serial killer, who police seem unable to catch. After the missing girl's body is discovered, Claire's daughter Rebecca goes missing, and is later found dead in a reservoir. As she grieves her daughter's death, Claire's nightmares become more and more vivid and disturbing. Soon she comes to believe that her dreams are visions of her daughter's killer, played by Robert Downey Jr. Claire's husband Paul, played by Aidan Quinn, eventually has her institutionalized. But when she has visions of the killer kidnapping another child, Claire breaks out of the mental hospital and follows the clues from within her mind to rescue the missing girl before it's too late.
Mind powers. I was going to take umbrage with a few details in your thing, and then I was like...
You always do.
Was there a fucking apple orchard? Who cares? It plays no part of this movie whatsoever.
There's too much apple imagery in this movie. Don't show me so many apples. It was like they were like, what's the creepy image that's going to tie everything together? I don't know. Let's open a dictionary. Apple. Great, done.
Yeah, there are a lot of apples. It puts me in mind of an apple a day keeps the doctor away, and I knew someone whose husband was like, oh, if that's the case, I'm going to eat nothing but apples for this week and be good for the doctor for the rest of my life.
Wait,
like
what?
Like that approach to not necessarily with apples, but like anything that's like, oh, okay, if this thing is good for me and does this thing, doing more of that thing is going to get me more of that thing.
So in this movie's case, it really was like, we're just going to load the audience up on apples, and just through the screen, they will never have to see a doctor again.
I think it's more, this film is trying so hard to have some sort of fable energy to it, and the apple being symbolic is a thing, and when the fable does not come together, it's like, well, maybe if I put more symbols in it, cram more apples in this movie, it will be more symbolic.
Yeah, are we going to give the apples any kind of thematic significance to the plot? No, we're just going to make them look at apples.
It's Snow White, Truman. It's Snow White.
It's a half-assed Snow White.
It's totally half-assed.
They are not putting their whole ass into that at all.
No.
Yeah, dreams, huh?
Well, let's go down just the main cast and crew real quick. We went through the cast. Thank you. The crew.
You're welcome. It is my job.
Directed by critically acclaimed director Neil Jordan, who did The Crying Game. He did Breakfast on Pluto. He's done a number. One of my favorites, The Company of Wolves.
Written, The End of the Affair, Michael Collins. I can read names too.
Michael Collins, yeah. Written by, well, okay, this is confusing. And
we're
gonna get very deep into this nonsense.
Nice.
Technically, this is how it's credited. Screenplay by Bruce Robinson and, not ampersand, the word and, Neil Jordan, based on the novel Doll's Eyes by Barry Wood.
Yes.
Okay. Dare we go into this now?
Let's go into this now, because I've gotten hints from my research that it's not quite that clear-cut.
It's definitely not that clear-cut, and I have a unified theory of this movie that I need the elements to fall into place before I reveal it, but
That's impressive because this movie doesn't have a unified theory of this
I know.
movie.
I know. It starts right here with the writers. So, this movie starts with Doll's Eyes by Barry Wood. Barry Wood is, would I call her a great writer? No. I really enjoy her books. She wrote Twins, which is what the Cronenberg film is based on. Not the Danny DeVito, Arnold Schwarzenegger movie.
I was thinking, like, how long could that book have been?
No. Dead Ringers with Jeremy Irons. So she, yes, has that. She's written a lot of like pulp novels. She's got an entry or two in the Paperbacks from Hell series that has been, re-releasing old 1980s paperbacks.
Yeah.
Doll's Eyes kind of fits in there, but it's from the 90s, and I read it. I bought it.
Wow.
And read it, and it's like if you're like me and you're like, how much Stephen King can I fit in my life, or should I fit in my life? Maybe I can get the same vibe from other authors. She fits that pretty well, and I think Doll's Eyes fits very nicely into that. You've got this kind of rural setting, etc.
Yeah.
I don't need to go too deep into that. I can go into differences between the book later. The point is, this movie was based on a screenplay. I'm trying to find the name of it. That Bruce Robinson wrote. It was like Blue something.
And
Blue Visions.
And Bruce Robinson, for the record, he was an Academy Award-nominated screenwriter who wrote The Killing Fields, which is a movie about the Cambodian genocide. He also wrote a movie called With Nail and I, which is sort of a drug comedy set in England in the 60s, 70s.
It's Whitnell and I is one of the few screenplays that every screenplay writer reads and goes, I wish I wrote that.
Okay, that's a movie that my parents and I got from Netflix when I was like 13, and we were watching it, and I'm like, okay, this is fun. These guys are doing lots of drugs, and they're in this English country house, and they seem like sleazy bastards. I love it. And my parents, we got like halfway through and like, oh, this is terrible, and they turned it off, and I was like, but I want to know what happens with those guys doing drugs. So instead we watched Simone or some shit. Anyway. Same writer as these acclaimed movies.
Yes, but he has a screenplay called Blue Visions.
Yeah.
That Neil Jordan then rewrites into this film here called In Dreams.
I bet Bruce Robinson loved that he did that.
I'm sure his paycheck was fine enough to keep him quiet and working beyond this movie.
If I know anything about writers, it's that we can always find a reason to complain, even if we have been paid for once.
Good point. Point in the Truman column.
First of many.
So, Neil Jordan, I think it's not, accreditation doesn't really break this down, but I think we can really look at the evidence in this movie and go, okay, Neil Jordan just took Bruce Robinson's scripts and did what he had to make this movie happen.
Yes, it feels a lot like, there's a lot of stuff in this movie that feels like it was sort of expedient for it to be that way.
Yes, necessary. Does expedient cover necessary?
It covers necessary. I mean, it's just like there's a lot of plot points specifically or ways that the story goes that's like, well, okay, yeah, that very quickly gets us to whatever new cool shot you want to set up or whatever vibe you want to try and hit with the next scene. Like it really feels like, what's the straightest line we can draw between these 2 points? Doesn't matter if it makes sense or not. Okay, good.
Yeah. The only other bit of trivia, I mean, we can talk about the cinematography by Darius Kanji or the editing by Tony Lawson.
We should talk about the cinematography, whether now or later, but yeah.
I think we can bring it up later. My only note would be to say now is like, why were the 90s so yellow?
It's like, I think it has something to do with NAFTA, I think, because now on TV, Mexico is yellow and America is normal colored.
Right.
So I think it's that we just sent all of our yellow filters down south of the border. The piss filter just went south.
And I'd also like to call out the production design by Richard Seilbert. Seilbert?
I don't know.
Seilbert.
Yeah, take a guess at it. Yeah, that seems fine.
Richard
Yeah, guest host Christopher Walken. I mean, yeah, so Christopher Seilbert is the one who's showing up with a truckload of apples every day and just dumping them onto the set.
So. I'm thinking more like production design is you have to envision, like, conceptually what a drowned town looks like.
Yeah.
And, like, regardless of what that looks like on the, the end product after it goes through the cinematography filter, the direction filter, the builders, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Can be talked about, but I think just conceptually, there's something to be said about the production design here.
Yeah. Conceptually, there's something to be said about, hey, if your movie is going to have as one of its plot elements a town that got flooded intentionally, maybe the creepy symbolism should be water-based and not apple-based.
Well, apples are technically 85% water.
Okay, but the town didn't get flooded with apple juice.
It's about to, with how many apples are in this movie.
It would make sense for the tinting of the movie to be so yellow if they were filming it through a layer of apple juice. For all we know, the treetop people put up the money for this movie, and that's why it feels so strange.
All right, do you want to go into some budget and box office stats for this movie?
Let's go here. Yeah, let's go into some box office stats for this year movie. All of it, the budget and the box office.
All right. This movie was released January 15th, 1999.
What a time to release a movie. Interesting.
Yeah.
Right after New Year's.
Interesting indeed. And also, that doesn't include the fact that this was filmed in 1997.
So I'm feeling a lot of confidence on the part of the distributors and the production company.
Yeah, I have a bit of trivia with this next one. It was released by and distributed by Amblin and DreamWorks Entertainment. Or Amblin Entertainment and DreamWorks Pictures.
Okay.
Steven Spielberg was initially attached to direct this movie.
Wow. Do you think he saw the name on the screenplay in dreams and he was like, DreamWorks, that's the name of our new company, guys, we gotta.
He had a premonition of his own that goes, nah, this one's gonna be bad, this is gonna be a fucking mess. I'm gonna stick to my family entertainment.
Yeah, I'm gonna go make AI instead.
Yeah, that's what he was doing at the time.
Yeah. So it's released. It kind of sat on the shelf for a while, and then it was released in January, suggesting that the folks pulling the levers kind of knew what they had going on here.
Now, with all that information, how many theaters do you think they release it into?
Oh man, I don't know. I would say
this is rated R. I should have said that. This is rated R.
Yeah, much like Cirque du Freak, it's rated R because they swear almost too much. Like they say the F word a lot, and I mean I get this is an adult-oriented movie about dark stuff, but there's some scenes where I'm like, you're saying fuck a lot, guys. Can we just chill?
This is a pretty hard R. I mean, you see the dead bodies of children.
Yeah.
You see a dog eating a face. Like there are some really kind of grotesque moments in it.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Doesn't surprise me.
You do see those things. I forgot that I saw them, which maybe suggests, something about why we're talking about the movie. I'm going to say 1,500 theaters, probably less than that.
Dang, dude. Okay. So I would say that our cutoff for a wide release is probably 1,500. Like, we're not going to go below that with any of our films.
Well, then that's what I want. I want 1,500. That's what it's going to be.
All right. You're very close, but a little under. You want one more guess?
1650.
Whoa! 1670.
Ooh, okay.
That's the closest guess you've ever had.
That is pretty good. I you know what, Landon? I had a dream about it. There were a bunch of apples that spelled out 1670, and I guess I subtracted 20 from that for some reason.
The estimated budget for this movie was $30 million. That was back in 1997, coming off of like the prestige of The Crying Game and Michael Collins, what Neil Jordan was kind of bringing to the table. Everyone wanted to work with him. And the rising career of Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
Hold for tension.
What? Is there why is there tension about the rising career of Robert Downey Jr.? Just that.
Well, because it plummets almost immediately. But
because some bad stuff, because he got mixed up in some bad stuff during this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we're
Yes.
okay. That's what we're being tense about. Sorry,
leading up to this movie, just this whole era, and Annette Bening was just starting to make her mark. So she was like not that known of an entity in 1997. Like she was about to do the
American
movie with
President.
Michael Douglas, the
American President. Yeah, that was kind of
I
her.
was gonna say the American President's Men. I'm like, that's not right.
Yeah, no, I mean it's the American President's woman, although she is her own woman and she chooses to date the American President.
Although the American President's Men, where Bob Woodward and Bernstein fall in love.
Oh, okay. Yes, that would be good. Or also The American President's Men, where she falls in love with Woodward and Bernstein, and it's like, which one do I pick?
Hell yeah.
Because how do you? Oh my. Yeah.
Anyway, so yes, I think having a $30 million budget for a prestige film in 1997, it sounds about right. Like they had enough confidence at the forefront of this thing to say we'll make this happen.
Yes. And boy, did they ever make it happen.
Well, I think we have to adjust our speculative marketing costs a little bit here, because when you decide to shelve something and then release it in January, you're not going to put as much behind your marketing budget as you normally would. So
no, there was no tie-in video game. There
Right.
were no action figures.
I would normally say this would be 15 million. I'm going to go 7 on this one.
There are probably some creepy trailers, and look, and the
Yeah.
poster, folks, if you go to wikipedia.com and you type in Dreams, the poster may be one of my favorite things about this movie. It is this picture of, I think that's supposed to be Annette Bening's face, but just like
Yes.
a tiny sliver of it is illuminated by a shaft of light, and you see this one blue eye, and looks like nothing in the movie at all, but it looks cool. I pay $7 million for it.
Opening weekend
Yeah.
debuts at number 11.
Whew. Well, your title's not doing you any favors also.
There's no colon in it.
Well, and it's not in French, so I guess honestly by our standards it's doing pretty well.
I don't think the title is like necessarily bad. This is like right around the time of What Dreams May Come, which I think is a worse title.
Yeah, and I think I definitely got it mixed up in my head with that. And also, when did Ever After come out?
Somewhere between 97 and 99. Yeah.
There was some clip from that would get shown in trailers and promos where it's the main lady in Ever After going, "Just breathe." And I always would get that also mixed up. I heard her saying "In Dreams" somehow in my head. It got mixed up. So I also thought "In Dreams" was like a fantasy movie.
Okay. Interesting. We're going to return to that in our personal reflections in just a second. But top 10 of the box office. I'm only going to do the top. Well, you know what? No, I'm going to do the top 10.
I won't make comments. We'll just go through.
Okay. Because this really sets a place and time for this movie, I think. Let's start at the bottom and go to the top.
Okay.
So In Dreams is number 11. Number 10 in its 6th weekend was Shakespeare in Love, the Oscar winner of that year.
Big. Okay.
Then we've got in its first week the movie Virus. Oh boy, that's what I was seeing this weekend. It's I think Daniel Baldwin and Jamie Lee Curtis fight an AI robot on a ship.
Oh,
I can't wait till the machine makes us do that movie.
I can't either. Can we just call an audible and talk about that this week?
The animated film Prince of Egypt comes in at number 8. Number 7, you've got Mail in its 5th week.
Wow, icons.
Number 6 is Stepmom. What is At First Sight? I know that's a rom-com. Coming in at number 5. The Thin Red Line, I'm surprised, comes in at number 4 in its 4th week.
Another outing for one of the Baldwin brothers.
You're right, yes. A Civil Action coming in at number 3. Patch Adams holding on to the number 2 spot in its 4th week, but it was beat out. The number 1 spot in its very first week. I don't want your placement on the box office top 10 list.
Wow,
it's Varsity
Blues. Oh man, those boys all sitting on the back of that blue pickup truck on the DVD cover that I never rented because I knew it was about sports. Wow, what a time to be at the movies.
Yeah, 1999. People point to that as one of the like significant years in film history.
I remember someone online talking about waxing poetical about 1999, or like that there was a time period when they went to the theater and they were theater hopping, and so first they saw Muppets from Space, and then they went and they saw Eyes Wide Shut same day in the theater. Because Muppets from Space was 99, right? I'm sure
yes,
that's not
absolutely.
Yeah, that was okay. Yes, it wasn't like some kind of revival showing of Muppets from Space 2 years later.
This movie was in theaters for, I think, only 5 weeks, if it's right, 5 or 6, 5 weeks. 5 weeks. This movie was in theaters.
Yeah. Surprising no one.
Obviously, never even cracked the top 10. So, let's talk about what it grossed.
Yeah,
domestically, approximately $12 million.
Well, kind of impressed it even got that high.
Internationally, I do not believe it was released.
Wow. I feel like you could make a play for it on the, like, I don't know, in Europe or something, or Montreal. I always just say Europe and assume they're just into weird, gross stuff. I don't know, but this seems like, this kind of feels like something that would be a little bigger in France, doesn't it?
You could, yeah, with the language barrier, and you can like play it more as an art house thing, rather than a straight thriller. Yeah, I would have risked an international release, but this to me speaks of some sort of like contract thing, where it's like, okay, at this point you didn't release it within the time frame, within the year or two upon completion. It's been on the shelf, therefore you only get a domestic release per our contract and whatever. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how that shit works, but there it feels like you are missing earning some of your money back. Why would you leave that on the table?
Yeah,
unless there was something keeping you from doing so.
Yeah, everyone just kind of moved on with their lives. They'd forgotten about their dreams at that point.
So you hinted at this, but what was your previous experience with this film?
If you'd asked me prior to us getting served this, is there a movie called In Dreams, I would have said, fuck yes, there is. And then if you asked me what was happening in it, I would have gone on a really weird journey of either, it's a fantasy film, or it's a... Is What Dreams May Come the one where the guy goes to heaven and then comes back?
Goes to hell or purgatory. Robin Williams goes to find his dead wife's soul or something like that.
Right, okay, then I would have said it was something like that, even though now I'm recognizing, I guess I don't even really know what Dreams May Come is about. And isn't there one with a horror movie with Harrison Ford also?
Yes.
That's called
What Lies Beneath.
What Lies Beneath. I think I also would have mixed it up with that. I never would have guessed that this was what we were getting, though.
It doesn't surprise me. There was a glut of supernatural thrillers at this time because the 90s abhorred the title horror for some reason. So they're like, oh, we got to Silence of the Lambs this thing up, and
it's gonna come up again.
We got to elevate it out of the horror dumpster and into thriller land.
Yeah.
Where respectable people can visit.
Yes, exactly. God forbid we should be a movie like Scream that made tons and tons of money. And everyone still talks about. So you being a card-carrying member of the horror community, did you see this in
No.
When it came out? No, you did not.
I think I have a Mandela effect with this movie. I knew of it. I knew there was a thriller, kind of supernatural-ish, maybe thriller called In Dreams. But up until watching it, or doing research on it, I would have told you it was a movie where Brendan Fraser plays a serial killer.
Oh, that would be good. Has he ever done that?
I thought he did in the 90s. I'm like, oh, well, then I'm confusing it with another movie. I wasn't. That movie doesn't exist.
Wow. Okay. Well, we should talk to Brendan Fraser's agents. I mean, maybe that's going to be part of his career resurgence now. That would have been better.
The closest I could find was of Gods and Monsters, the Ian McKellen playing James Whale biopic, where Brendan Fraser is in that as kind of a assistant to him in his later years and potential love infatuation that he had. Definitely not a serial killer, and that's not a horror movie.
Isn't he in the... he's the bad guy in The Quiet American, right? And he's like... I mean, he's kind of creepy in that, but he's not a serial killer. I think that's about Vietnam in the 50s.
That wasn't in the 90s, though.
No, that wasn't in the 90s. I'm just
Yeah.
reaching for anything. Also, this probably isn't a super fruitful avenue to venture down of me just trying to remember creepy Brendan Fraser movies.
Yes. The point being, like, I was convinced for at least 2 decades that Brendan Fraser starred as a serial killer in a movie called In Dreams.
Wow.
And I guess I'm not too far off in that this is a serial killer-ish movie.
Sorta.
And it is supernaturally
esque.
Yeah. It's got vapors coming off of it that vaguely resemble supernatural.
It's been infused with a little bit of supernatural. It's been steeped in it for a short amount of time. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was wrong, and so I guess I just was aware that a film called In Dreams existed. Is the end of my story.
Well, that's but that is kind of successful marketing, given how low the budget for it must have been, that both of us are aware that there was this movie, although nothing else penetrated. Like, maybe the title's better than I'm giving it credit for.
Well, I don't think it's a terrible title, and I think it's somewhat fitting for this, kind of.
I
It's better than Blue Visions.
What is better than Blue Visions unless he's, like, trying to just get onto the video store shelf next to Blue Velvet, and it's like, Blue Velvet isn't here. I don't know, another creepy movie about a killer? Why not? How different could it be?
Roger Corman wouldn't turn his nose up at that idea.
Yeah, nor our good friends at the asylum. I think, if I may start to ease us into this business...
Please do.
I think if you call your movie In Dreams, which I'm coming around on as a title, I think the title works. I think it is failed by everything that happens in the movie. I think if the movie's called In Dreams, you gotta just really go ham on the dreams. And
you're saying dreams as a distinctive thing different than visions?
Yes. It needs to just be... The dream sequences need to really be distinctive looking and crazy and creepy and extended, and, like, where do the dreams stop and reality begin?
Is there a dream in this movie?
Yeah, I think there's some, but they're short. It's like, it tends to be her, like, very heavily apple-based dreams early on of the guy leading the little girl around in the apple factory.
And that's not visions.
I think that's a dream she's having, but the dream, she's pretty sure the dream is a vision, but no one wants to believe that her dream is a vision.
So you're saying in order to be called a vision, it has to be prescient for some event that has taken place or is taking place or is about to take place?
Yes, I believe it has to be. It has to be you seeing something that is actually happening or has actually happened for it to count as a vision.
Okay. So, just so I understand this, because the movie goes to no great lengths to explain this.
Yeah.
If I'm understanding you correctly, you can have a vision that isn't in a dream, and you can have a dream that doesn't include a vision.
Yeah.
But in order to call it a visionary dream, you need to have a prescient image in your head while sleeping.
Yes. And I think, and a lot of the movie is her having prescient images in her head while she's sleeping, but...
I think most of them are while she's awake.
Well, a bunch of them it starts out while she's asleep, and then she starts having...
Stupid.
If you're awake and then you start seeing stuff, that's not a dream. That is visions, that's hallucinating.
Yeah.
You're not in dream. This is the thing. The movie fails so hard at the basic premise that it sets out with its short, quite memorable title. Like
she even says at one point when she starts talking to the psychiatrist after she's attempted suicide.
The first or the second time. There's a lot of suicide attempts in this movie.
The first time after the death of her daughter.
Yeah.
She's like, in kind of an interesting performance moment from Annette Bening here, where she's having this conversation where she kind of like recognizes how crazy she sounds, but she's like embracing it. She's kind of laughing.
Yeah. She's just
hysterically. Yeah, where she's like, if you had, visions when you are, wide awake in the middle of the day, I don't know, I'm just not strong enough to go through that.
Yeah.
Like if you can stop those, that would be great. Please do that. I would love that, but I can't. So that's why I did it.
she's smoking a cigarette. I don't know if she's in a straitjacket, but she's like in this mental hospital talking to him, and she's spent most of the movie being either acutely concerned and kind of freaked out, or sobbing and grieving and crying because her daughter was murdered by a serial killer. But then it's in this scene where she's really coming unglued because of all of the visions / dreams she's been having, and she's just laughing about it. That was kind of when the movie started to dial in a little bit for me. It's like, oh, Annette Bening is having fun now.
Well, let's I think just set up some context for what these visions are. You know, there's this whole backstory that she is having visions of, and then we can really just go anywhere we want to as far as like, is she invading his dreams? Is he invading her dreams?
Does he even know?
I have so many questions about this, but
does Robert Downey Jr. even know the dream stuff is happening? It seems like he's got his own shit going on, and the dreams are just an Annette Bening thing.
I would make that even broader to go, does he know that the movie's happening? He's got his own shit going on, and I don't know that he's aware that this is going on.
So you're saying that it's more of a Bowfinger situation, and Robert Downey Jr. was just acting weird, and the rest of the crew just showed up and filmed it.
Kind of, yes. Not to make light of his situation.
No. Folks at home, Robert Downey Jr. In the 90s had a lot of struggles with drugs. He had been clean for a few years, and then it was during the production of this movie that he relapsed and was getting more into trouble with drugs again, and kind of his 90s career sort of tanked after this.
This was peak that. He was coming right off an arrest right before this movie, and got the insurance approved on him because he had been through rehab and was good in rehearsals and ready to go at the start of production. But in the midst of this movie, he relapsed.
Yeah, and it is tragic because his career never recovered. So you talk about context. So the context is we got Robert Downey Jr. Yeah.
Let's talk about the city underwater.
Guys, there's two.
Can we?
Yeah, we can. There's two no ways for me to start your movie. One of them is with text, like a bunch of like scrolling text you have to read.
Yeah.
And then also scuba diving, and this movie starts with first a bunch of text explaining that in the 1960s this town in New England was flooded to become a reservoir, and you get all these shots of abandoned town getting flooded, and then
is this a real thing?
Well, I mean, it happens. It was more of a like 1930s Works Progress Administration, like hydroelectric dam situation, like a small town, like they move everybody out. Usually the residents of the town are maybe a different race than the people who planned the flooding. But that is a thing that would happen from time to time. I don't know that like all of the furniture is just left behind in all the homes.
That's what I'm getting to, is like, I understand man-made reservoirs are obviously a thing. Would they, like, especially with an old city or old town, like all the lead-based paint that's going to be floating around your reservoir,
the wallpaper dissolving off the walls and the paste that put it up.
It just seemed like it's a fantastical concept, and makes for some interesting imagery. But I'm like, not that this has to fucking be real, because it does want so hard. It wants so hard to be a fairy tale.
Oh yes, it definitely wants that. I mean, for a while, until it kind of forgets all those tie-ins. But yes. It wants badly to be a fairy tale, and it wants so badly to be Silence of the Lambs. And at times it flirts with both.
Yeah, and others, which we'll get to. But this was shot, and I think that imagery-wise, like, this was kind of an interesting opening. Like, yeah, you can feel how you want to about opening text giving you context for things, but like, maybe it's that, like, I'm not trying to wax nostalgic for 90s films, but nowadays, like, there's no opening title sequences anymore.
Sure.
Unless you're like Naked Gun, and if it is, it's like 2 seconds long.
Yeah.
This was like atmospheric, like you hear some of the score, the overture, as you're just watching these kind of surreal images of this town underwater. You're seeing these two scuba divers like going through a church, and it just kind of like sets a tone. And I kind of missed that a little bit. Like, I want to be eased into a movie. I don't want to just be slapped in the face the second the movie starts.
That is a real difference for us, because I think from a very early age I've been like, no, I want a movie that punches me in the goddamn mouth minute one. I want to be sorry for partying. This is just apples and oranges, so to speak.
Hey,
I look, no, I agree with the idea of a movie that eases you in. I just think that scuba diving is just I think it was on Mystery Science Theater. They said that underwater sequences are like the drum solos of movies, and this one really goes. You're just watching two scuba divers, scubaing around a flooded town for like what feels like 10 minutes of credits.
Well, your eyes have to dart up to each of the names that come up when they're scuba diving.
So
you can see that Robert Downey Jr. and Annette Bening and Adrian Quinn is in this movie.
The font that they use also for the names in this, though, it looks almost like the Korn font for the band Korn.
I know, Jeremy.
I know you know. I'm basically making sure the people at home know I'm not talking about the vegetable corn and its official font. I don't know. I think I'm a little predisposed against scuba diving, and I think that I appreciate that they definitely submerged sets. Like, they filmed this in the tank in Baja where they shot Titanic, so that's cool to actually see the real thing be done.
How cool would it have been if the scuba divers just found the necklace that the old lady threw into the ocean at the end?
Is anybody looking for this? How cool would it be if the scuba divers raised the Titanic?
Get Lou Grade on the phone. Okay, well, here's a question for you. Like, bringing up the corn analogy, like, it put me in mind of the movie Seven.
Yeah,
and that has a very distinctive opening title sequence.
Yes.
Which isn't... There's no action in it. It's just very gross imagery, and like it kind of like puts you in the head of Kevin Spacey. No one wants to be there.
Yeah, terrible place.
But like that also is a tone setter for like this is gonna be a fucking grisly film, folks. So like buckle up, and you hear that Nine Inch Nails or Trent Reznor score going. Would this have worked more for you if it was like this underwater imagery, but not like scuba diver action going on, just like a weird underwater shot of a church, or the wall with the nursery rhyme on it, or a bed with a chain attached to it?
I think,
which is important to the story, folks.
Yes, yeah. No, I think that would have worked better for me. Look, the thing is, with these scuba divers just exploring, it's like, because also going into this movie not really knowing a whole lot about what it's supposed to be, I'm looking at this and I'm trying to assign context to the images I'm seeing, and it's like, I didn't realize until a few minutes later that, those are police divers looking for the dead body of a child. Like, and I at first I'm watching it like, okay, so is Annette Bening like a scuba instructor and she has dreams about fish? Like, I don't know. And again, I'm becoming everything that I hate about, or like studio executives, where it's like the audience needs to know what's happening immediately. But it's just, we spend so long just watching scuba divers drift around that I'm getting bored by it, and I'm not that wowed by the imagery.
I think we differ a little bit there. I think it is kind of unique in imagery that I haven't really seen outside of like the sequel to the Kolchak movie, the Night Strangler, where there's a whole city underneath Seattle that a killer is hiding in. It's kind of interesting. It takes the abandoned town concept and puts a hat on it.
Okay, and that's fair. I think that, again, much like how the movie's title is a bold swing and then it doesn't live up to it with content, starting your movie with a long scuba diving sequence exploring a flooded town is kind of leading me to believe, okay, this is going to be more flooded town centric, right? The flooded town is going to be a major part of the movie and not like apples.
Yeah, I do know.
Good.
But the whole reason that we're doing this underwater thing, and we're spending way too much time on it, is
talk about a long intro. Yeah.
There is part of this was Robert Downey Jr.'s character. Robert
Yes.
Downey Jr. doesn't appear in this movie until 1 hour and 11 minutes.
Way
So,
too long. Keeping us waiting.
Way too long. But this backstory is when this town was filled with 2 billion gallons of water, he was abused by his mother, chained to the bed, and when this happened was left there basically to drown under this water.
Yeah.
And he escapes and then for some reason is immediately put into psychiatric care. I'm not sure exactly why, but...
Well, I mean, it was the 60s. He was removed from his... I mean, they did the good move of being like, hey, it seems like you don't have good parents, but then, yeah, I think he was fucked up from it, so they put him in a mental hospital, which did not cure him.
No. We also don't see the decision-making process behind putting it... Not that we need to, but, like, it's just like, oh, abused kid escapes from, potential tragedy of being drowned in this reservoir filling, goes to psychiatric care. Like, I'm filling out the news headline here.
Yeah, no, it's great. I think you need a copy editor to kind of cut that one down a bit. You've got too many column inches there.
I think people just need to read more.
Okay, well, they certainly can do plenty of reading when they have the, 2 paragraphs explaining about how the town got flooded up front.
But I agree with you. Like, this, to me, was a concept that they were going to return to later in this film.
Sure.
And through circumstance, in my unified theory, didn't get to. So it's does become like, why is this here? Why are you? It's interesting imagery, but how does this play into the rest of the movie?
Yeah. I mean, clearly it had to have tied in some bigger way since they flew everyone down to Baja and built sets and submerged them underwater and then filmed it, which is not cheap.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And then, so just, is there any more of that backstory? Because, like, that is part of what Annette Bening is getting visions of throughout this movie to a degree. Like, there's this nursery rhyme that was written on the wall of this bedroom that has been submerged underwater. She sees it again in the psychiatric ward when she's admitted, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me, but whatever.
No, it doesn't. Yeah. And also she hears Robert Downey Jr. reciting the nursery rhyme in a creepy way. It's something like
in her head.
Well, I mean, like in dreams. In fact, she hears him saying it. Yeah, in her head, and it's like, but my daddy was $1 or something, and it was 100 cents. I know I'm complaining a lot, but that's also kind of what the show is. But the creepy serial killer doing nursery rhymes in a creepy voice. Yep. Just can we get a new thing, guys? Come on, like read more books, serial killers. Like find some better literary material than just doing like the itsy bitsy spider. Like, come on, that's not. I'm not threatened by your nursery rhymes done in a creepy voice.
Call me Kill Schmel. I don't know. It was the first one. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times, and then I made them even worse.
Yeah. I mean,
this is what I need the editor for.
I'm trying to remember like the opening lines of Great Expectations. Like, instead of my parents called me Pip, it's like my parents called me Rip or something.
Okay, so thus the film unfolds of Annette Bening having visions both of Robert Downey Jr. committing acts of violence against children in the moment, visions of his childhood locked, in this room with his mother, visions of the future, of things he will do, where he'll be, and that's kind of the movie.
Yeah. That's basically it. And yeah, eventually she goes I mean, as laid out in the synopsis, which really covers most of the plot of the movie, like, her visions eventually lead to her getting sent to a series of increasingly intense mental institutions, which she breaks out from, and then she follows her visions to the apple cider factory where Robert Downey Jr. is holed up and seemingly has been living for like 30 years, just completely undetected.
So she is married. She has a daughter at the beginning of this movie.
Yes.
She's married to Adrian Quinn, who is playing a pilot.
I really like that as the absentee husband job, like airline pilot. That's why he's never around. Airline pilot. That's why he's cheating on you. Like I don't know. I haven't seen that as the device to get him out of the picture before.
Truman, let me turn you on to soap operas.
There's a lot of airline pilot stuff on soap operas?
I think there are.
Wow.
I think there is.
How many soap operas are you watching anyway?
They came on right after Mr. Rogers when I was growing up, so I was exposed to quite a few.
Oh, God. Mommy, what are identical twins? Mommy, what's infidelity?
Their marriage, I really liked, actually, the depiction of their marriage in this, because, A, they're both incredible actors and can play somewhat tropey stuff with a degree of gravitas, but their relationship feels lived in, regardless of how you feel about their chemistry. I think, like, he does seem supportive of her. Like, he's not like doesn't believe her. Like, that's not the thing they're playing in this. Like, I don't believe that you're having these visions. It's like, I'm fucking frustrated that these visions of yours, if they are those things, are interrupting our lives. I just want to have some sex with my wife.
I think he's a pretty big asshole a lot of the time, but it is sweet of him that, like, she keeps having these visions. She's convinced that it's of the killer or something. So there's this scene where he goes to the police station and tries to he tries to like report it. He meets with one of the detectives and tries to explain what's happening. My note for this whole scene was just Accent County Sheriff's Department, because it's just the cop being like, yeah, okay, so your wife's got these visions. She's dreaming of stuff. She's having spooky weird visions, and you want us to go chase down her visions? And then Aidan Quinn is just like fighting back with his heavy, accent as well, and they're just accenting at each other really hard.
I think Paul Guilfoyle, who plays the detective here, is one of the unsung parts of this movie.
Yeah, I think it's fun. I mean, I enjoy what he's doing. It's just a little over the top.
I don't know. I can see other... I don't know. I don't think it is over the top. I think it's playing on scenes that we've seen 100 times that are over the top. And I think usually those are played at like 11. This is... Yeah, I mean, he has an accent, but like for how those scenes usually unfold, this unfolds a little bit differently. And like the detective in these sorts of movies are often just like the point of resistance to believing the main character. Yeah. And his thing isn't like, okay, I don't believe you, or like, thanks for wasting my time. It's like, thanks for wasting my time. The girl already died. You're not giving me any information. I'm fucking exhausted.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, you fucking wackadoos keep coming in here. Get out of here. I don't want to listen to you. It's just like, you're not giving me anything, and I got so much other shit to do right now, dude.
I mean, look, if I'm the detective, the thing I'm actually going to be saying there is like, okay, man, if you're why doesn't your wife want to come down here and talk to me? Hearing about your wife's dreams secondhand through you is the most useless thing in the world. I already think it's bullshit, but at least let me get her directly explaining. If she doesn't think that her dream visions are valuable enough for her to take time out of her day to come to the police station, then I don't want to hear about it.
See, I think that's why I kind of like the scene the scene right before it where she says she doesn't want to go, because he says, why, if you believe these things are visions, why don't you go to the police? And she herself is like, I am already tortured by the fact that I can't control whether I have these things or not. I don't want the indignity of not being believed. Mm-hmm. Like, it's kind of a lived-in trait where so many of these movies would be exactly what you just described, of her going to the police not believing her going back out into the world, experiencing worse and worse horrors until the police like are at the climax of the movie going, how did this happen? At least they involve the detective a bit in this. He doesn't necessarily believe her, but he doesn't dismiss her outright.
Yeah.
I don't know, it unfolds a little bit differently than I'm used to.
Yeah, I think probably also my perception of these scenes is colored by knowing how the rest of the movie goes and knowing that it's like, oh, okay, this movie zigged in a slightly interesting way here, but then it ceased any zigging or zagging as it went.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that for sure.
Here's what I don't get anything about her dream visions. I really don't.
Yes.
In talking to her husband
agreed.
early on, like she's talking about, or just to other people, to doctors and friends, she's saying, I've always had weird dream visions my whole life. This has always been going on.
One of the things that was explicitly taken from the book. That
Okay.
was the concept of the book. She comes from a family of people that it skips a generation, but they will have a person in the family that cannot control the fact that they have visions, and it
Okay.
affects their life. She's incredibly wealthy in the book, but that's beside the fact. But that's about all they take from the book is like,
Yeah.
and it takes place near a body of water.
Okay.
Otherwise, nothing else from the book makes its way into this movie.
But again, they barely even took the dreams really from the book. Like, they took the concept of she has dreams and sees a serial killer, but none of the, like, everything you're saying about, oh, it runs in the family, it skips a generation, that's kind of more explanation and thematic tie-in to the dreams than we ever get here.
Yeah. Well, and her family members are characters in the book. They obviously not present here. So, like, none of that is present to give any explanation or context or grounding for what these visions are. We're just told very briefly up front, I've had these visions my whole life. I can't control them.
And what's hard for me about this is it seemed like it's not like, oh, we just moved to this town and these dream visions started. It's like, it seems like she started having the dream visions after the girls start disappearing, but it's like, Robert Downey Jr. has lived in this town the whole time. You've been here the whole time. What happened to spark all this? Because when we start the movie, she's already been having the dreams for a while.
It's a question I had too of like, yes, what is, this movie doesn't have a real world, like, it doesn't start before the movie, once you press play, the movie begins. Once it ends, the movie's over. There's no, like, life to these characters or this story beyond the confines of that time code.
Yes, yeah. It's like, well, why is she having the visions now? Because that's when you started watching the movie, obviously.
Exactly.
There's not any inciting incident for the dream.
Yeah.
For the creepy dreams that she's having. It's just the thing she's
Right.
dealing with when the movie starts.
In the book, she has had, not to this degree, but like similar visions her whole life of, grisly images or
Grizzly Adams.
But it's I think proximity based, and that's why when she's around this lake, which is where all the crimes are happening, she's picking up more of the intensity of the emotion, which is causing whatever the supernatural visions are to be more vivid.
Mm-hmm.
Again, not explained here at all, but that's what's happening in the book. I just want to bring this up. One critic, when comparing the movie to the book, says about the only thing they have in common is that they were both written in English.
Yeah, I mean, that's, and that matters. I mean, I'm glad they held that over, because I would have understood even less of the movie if they did it in a different language.
Well, here's something I want to say about
Yeah.
the kind of confusing nature of this, and it's jumping back and forth in the movie totally. But
yeah,
whatever.
we know what the movie is, guys. Yeah.
Okay, maybe you can help me figure this out. So, Annette Bening, this is how, as a viewer, you experience this. Annette Bening has this vision of a hand, an older hand, holding and leading along a child's hand through, you call it an apple orchard, sure.
There's apples all over, and she initially identifies it as an apple orchard, although it is not.
Okay. So that's the first vision that we see her have.
Mm-hmm.
She says, when questioned by the detective later, I didn't see his face. I didn't, all I got was that vision, that image. I don't know his hair color. I don't know where they were, blah, blah, blah. Except
Apples.
the apple orchard.
Just
apples.
Just fucking apples.
Later in the movie, and I'm going to go back and forth here. Later in the movie, when she is captured, kidnapped, I don't know.
Hanging out with him. Yeah, it seems fairly passive.
When Robert Downey Jr. finally graces us with his presence an hour and 11 minutes into this movie, he says, oh, it feels like you've been haunting us this entire time.
Mm-hmm.
But there are times when she, throughout the movie, having these visions, will recite the nursery rhyme, or there's a moment when her and Aidan Quinn are about to get it on, and Robert Downey Jr. through Annette Bening like bites his lip.
Yeah.
And so this is what's confusing to me. Is she entering his mind? Is he entering her mind?
Mm-hmm.
Are they entering each other's minds? Answer these questions, Truman. I need answers.
I do not know. None of the times when they're together,
Yeah.
is he ever like, ooh, I've seen you in your dreams. Like, oh, I was fucking with your dreams. Did you like that? And he's never like, I brought you here by giving you dream visions. He doesn't appear to know that he's been doing that to her. Or if he does, he never mentions it.
He explicitly says, you've been haunting us.
But is it because he's envisioning her as his mom, and he's been haunted by visions of his mom?
I don't know.
There you go.
Because he does dress her up as his mom later, but
that's what I took that to be.
I took it to be the other way of like your presence has been looming larger here because you have been inside my head.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's like, well, and she says at some point that like we're sharing the same dreams or something like that. So it's like, which is also
But then he's taking up way too much space in that relationship. If like he's never having visions of her childhood.
Yeah, exactly. You got to ask questions about your partner, fellas, about the lady whose dreams that you're sharing for some reason. And it's never, and there's never anything, like, if that's the case, that they've just been sharing dreams, the movie never really seems interested in exploring, once she actually meets up with him, it's never exploring why that has happened or what it is about her that brings her onto his wavelength and means that this children's book illustrator and this creepy serial killer guy are having the same dreams. It's kind of just like, yeah, that was the thing that happened, so you could have a bunch of visions that would lead you to a final confrontation with him. Another of those like the dreams, to me, these are like the things where it's just the director drawing a straight line between two scenes. It's like, well, the main character isn't a detective. What's just a way that she can like get clues without having to do anything, so we don't have to do too many other sets.
I'm gonna throw one more complication in this.
Okay.
Which is, there is a point. Now, I will acknowledge, she has a full-on psychotic breakdown in this movie.
Yes.
And leading up to that, there are moments when she is finally recovering from her suicide attempt after her daughter is dead. Mm-hmm. Was her daughter killed by Robert Downey Jr.?
Yeah. Her daughter is killed by Robert Downey Jr., and when she comes face to face with him, she does not seem that upset about like meeting the guy who murdered her daughter.
Okay. I just realized this very moment, I'm like, I don't know that I ever got confirmation that it was Robert Downey Jr. that did that, but okay.
That would be the kind of loose end this movie would leave.
When she's finally like, I'm starting to calm down, she's back at home, Aidan Quinn's like, okay, if she needs this treatment, I'd rather do it at home where I can watch her and she's in a familiar setting. He brings her back home. The next day, this very Douglas Sirkian sort of, autumnal, vibe. The leaves on the trees are changing, and she's sitting there with her notebook, her sketchbook, looking out at the lake.
I just want to say, like, that moment where she's like sitting there in the Adirondack chair, sketchbook, boombox next to her, listening to like some light music, smoking a cigarette, and I specifically wrote down in my notes, it's like, honestly, life goals. That's in my dreams. It's just like quiet afternoon, looking out at the lake. Seems nice.
Yeah. And she says, I'll be fine, because Aidan Quinn has to go back off to work. And she's like, yeah, I'll be fine. I might even do some work today.
Oh boy, are we going to talk about what her work is?
She's a children's illustrator, children's book. She has illustrated, her claim to fame is she has illustrated a copy of Grimm's Fairy Tales.
Yes. But, what the actual mechanics of her work are then when she goes inside after that?
Well, what is it? I still have to mention this thing that I'm confused about, but go ahead.
No, mention the thing you're confused about, and then we'll go into what she does when she goes inside.
Okay. So, as far as this dream mechanic is concerned, the connection that they have is concerned, how it works, she goes inside, she has her computer,
Yeah.
and the fairy tale that, or the nursery rhyme that Robert Downey Jr. keeps repeating, that he's carved into his bedroom wall, that he carved in the psychiatric ward's wall, that he keeps repeating over and over throughout this movie, starts appearing on her computer screen.
And I have it here. The nursery rhyme is, my daddy was $1, I wrote it on the fence. My daddy was $1, not worth 100 cents.
Okay.
So, she's
Whatever
hearing
the
that.
fuck.
Yeah. Also, I Googled my daddy was $1 nursery rhyme, and the first Google search result was a 13-year-old Reddit post of someone, like, saying, in dreams question, and then, like, putting that up there, and it's like, what does this quote mean? So...
It's been haunting people for decades.
I know, but yeah, exactly. It's in this Redditor's dreams.
The origins of it was buried underneath 2 billion gallons of water in a reservoir.
Yeah, that dollar has disintegrated underwater by now.
Okay. That nursery rhyme starts appearing on her computer screen.
Yes.
It starts just like typing out in front of her.
Yes.
Okay. She goes outside, the boombox that she had there was off, and then suddenly it turns on and starts playing a very specific song. I don't remember what the fucking significance of it was.
Don't sit under the apple tree with anyone else but me, which is another song that Robert Downey Jr. sings. Listeners,
Yeah, boy.
did you notice? Apples. Apples. Don't you just love writing?
Okay. My question, finally, is I will give the film enough credit to go, okay, you don't need to really further explain a psychic connection between two people.
Yeah.
How is he affecting her real world when he is a real person?
Yes, exactly. A very good question. But also, is he affecting her real world, or is she hallucinating all of this? Because then she runs back inside and suddenly her sink is full of...
Apples.
What? Apples, you say? Apples?
Her whole countertop is just hundreds and hundreds of apples. She starts throwing them like down the garbage disposal.
Screaming.
The garbage disposal starts going
Yeah.
and spewing everywhere.
Yeah.
I am so sorry everyone had to listen to that in their headphones.
You just spewing applesauce.
And then she screams and like it echoes and goes into a cut to black, and then suddenly she's in the psychiatric ward.
Yes, her husband comes home to find that the house is completely fucked up, and she's lying in bed and has in fact cut her wrists. And from this that's suicide attempt number 2. And then and then she's at that point is all locked up.
So, do you have an answer to that? So it's she was having a psychotic breakdown, and that's what she was seeing.
I think I think the idea is that she just had a full psychotic break, and so it's not that he physically manipulated the environment, but somehow he just broke into her waking life and made her see all those things. But then the movie also doesn't explain so it's not just when she's in a dream state he can invade her mind. It's also just anytime he seems to be fully psychic because he survived a town flooding. He's
in her head so hard that when she has a psychotic break, all she can see is his shit.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
I'm amazed that you were able to talk about all this, though, without landing on the thing that I wanted to discuss, which is that when she goes in to do some work, she goes in and she's sitting at her computer to do some work. And what her work is in, like, I guess Photoshop 1.0, she uses the mouse on her computer to draw the shape of an apple and then uses a different tool to paint apple texture onto the apple. And then she pushes a button on the computer and, like, more apples start coming out from behind the apple and collecting at the sides of the screen. And she just, like, kind of nods and gets up and walks away and lets this process continue as though it's like, well, I have to generate 50 apples on my computer.
Yes.
I'm just going to let that run for a while.
Fucking 1997 ass GIF playing in repeat. Like, that was on early websites with the dancing baby gif.
Yes, exactly. It's like applecloner.com, and you click every time you click the apple, a new apple appears, and that was the most high-tech thing anyone could do.
Then it crashed your computer.
Yeah. This is what Tim Berners-Lee envisioned when he first networked computers together. People sharing Apple images. But then even as shit is going more crazy, we're getting more shots of the computer and just more and more apples piling up on screen before Robert Downey Jr.'s text starts going across the screen on it. So my question beyond the dreams is just like, is that actually her job? Like, is she doing some Apple-based children's book now?
Well, okay, let's go into that a little bit. Let's answer this Apple issue. So, Neil Jordan loves a
Apples.
fairy tale.
Oh, okay, yes.
Maybe he loves apples too. I don't know.
It
I love
seems
apples.
like he does. I mean, how do you like them apples in this movie? That's basically what he's asking us. He'd seen Good Will Hunting, and he was like, wait, I have a new idea for In Dreams.
I think that there was probably a more concerted effort to make this more fable-like from the beginning. There's this whole, before her daughter dies, she's helping her daughter rehearse and memorize lines for a play where she's going to be playing the magic mirror in Snow White.
Yes.
And they're constantly going over the, like, mirror, mirror on the wall. And obviously in Snow White, apples play a big part. And I have to assume that was going to be a larger connective tissue throughout this thing.
Sure.
Why, as a side note, what kind of private Montessori-ass school are they sending these kids to where they have a midnight fucking in the garden of good and evil sort of in the forest high-ass production of Snow White for 7-year-olds?
It's like Shakespeare in the Park with all these kids. It's like outdoors. It's dark out. They've got all the kids just running around the forest in front of an audience.
Japanese lanterns and candles.
There's one of the kids rides in on a fully sized horse. I am not even joking. A big white horse, like the hero of the play, is on a horse. Her daughter is in the chorus of the little fairy as she has these fairy wings.
And I mean, listen, it's a tragedy. I'm not gonna say it's not a tragedy, but am I surprised that a kid goes missing when you have 7 to 12 kids running around, screaming, playing games in a forest at night when parents aren't paying attention?
It's like the after party. So yeah, for one thing, this children's theater production has like an SNL style rap party where like everybody there's everyone's drinking like punch and having little pastries or something afterwards while the kids run around. Yeah. Also, there's a serial killer.
Went to Chili's.
Yeah. Yes, nothing bad ever happened at a Chili's. No one ever gets abducted at Chili's. But there is a serial killer on the loose. Eddie Grant warned us there's a killer on the rampage, and yet, like, who specifically is targeting kids, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna do the outdoor theater production in the woods at night, and it just... But yes, so I don't know what the theater arts, department budget in this small New England town is, but it's a shame her daughter got killed, because I'm sure she would have such an enriched childhood and adulthood from having taken part in such a lively arts program.
Yeah, but that didn't happen.
I mean, look, we're all over the map on this, but so long as we're in the forest with all the girls, this is the scene where her daughter goes missing. Because she's done her line in the play, and it's been really good in this wonderful moment. It's the line that she's been rehearsing with her daughter. It pisses me off. Her daughter says her line, and Annette Bening, who's sitting in the middle of the audience, is just like so high on parental joy that she fully stands up. Everyone else is still sitting. She's blocking the view of all the parents behind her.
So much poor theater etiquette this season we're seeing.
Yes, exactly. She came in late and had a really loud conversation with Shaggy.
Was Josh Hartnett eating an apple when he came into the theater?
Oh my God! I mean, he may as well have been. If he didn't eat an apple, he unwrapped a bunch of cellophane apple candies very loudly while Rose Byrne is up there on stage. But the play is over. They're having the SNL after party. After the fact, her asshole husband has to go fly some people to Seattle, so he leaves, and then she goes back to the party and then realizes she can't find her daughter among all of the other little fairy girls running around. And the movie that, she's like starts freaking out when she realizes she can't find her daughter, and then pretty quickly she starts freaking out, and then next thing you know, all of the cops are there. Every cop is there, and there's like, they've got...
It's an immediate search party.
Yes. And I like this bit. This is a moment that really worked for me, because then you've got all these cops going through the underbrush with her. She's freaking out and screaming her daughter's name. The cops have dogs, and they've got flashlights with their beams kind of tracing patterns through the night, and these tracking shots of them all, lunging through the woods with all these blue cop lights behind them, and like... It's also weird. There's shots of all the little girls from the production just kind of standing by with their parents watching, and it's like, why are you still here? It took like probably 2 hours for all these cops to show up. You could go home.
Quit traumatizing them. It is. I mean, this doesn't happen at some inner city school. Like, this is some rich ass middle, New England private school stuff.
Yeah, exactly. They know what kind of kid they're looking for. They know this kid's gonna look good on the news. But it's like the thing that this movie has going for it the most is how it looks, and this is where we start talking about the cinematographer for this movie, who's Darius Kanji, who's quite good. But images like this of her with all the cops and the lights in the dark, or like then there's later scenes during the investigation where they're out by the lake, and there's a lot of these deep, very like long pushes and zooms across the water to her running down the dock as they're finding her daughter's body. Like, the movie does a lot of prestige police procedural photography really well, where it's like a long line of police divers going under the water, or cop lights in the night, or a line of people searching through the woods. There's
a shot specifically where when the search party's going through the woods, and they're like not sure if the daughter has gone missing or been abducted, and you see the angel wings hanging from the tree, like clearly like symbolism for a fallen angel and all that sort of stuff. But the way that they arrive on that image, through the camera work is pretty sophisticated.
It's these shots of real world stuff that look really impressive and really dramatic, and it kind of makes me think like, well, then why don't the dreams go harder? All of this. Because it's worth noting, I mean, Darius Kanji, he's a French cinematographer. He did the movie Delicatessen, City of Lost Children. He did Seven, which is, the other creepy serial killer police procedural movie that has a distinctive look.
Yes.
And then he's also worked a bunch with Bong Joon-ho. He did Uncut Gems, and most recently Eddington, which... If you didn't see that in theaters, you go get it on demand right now, because that's a humdinger of a movie. But I don't know. It's like in moments like these, I find myself thinking, I wish I was enjoying the movie more. I wish the story was living up to the imagery that I'm being shown.
I agree. And like the first 20 minutes of this movie, like everything we just described, from the underwater scuba sequence to the rehearsal to literally her running down the dock, happens in the first 20-25 minutes of this movie. That is a lot of shit to happen quickly. And I was like, okay, this is... And it's happening at such a pace that, like, even when Annette Bening and her daughter are very early on walking along the coast and rehearsing their lines, there's this really stilted way that she's performing her dialogue. That I'm like, oh. But then once I recognize, like, oh, this is him setting up the kind of fairy tale. That this is supposed to be somewhat dreamlike. I'm like, that first 20-25 minutes really was working for me. Then this is when she gets to the dock and they're searching for her daughter under the water. This is where the first like moment of incomprehension comes in for me.
Yeah.
The way they reveal her daughter dying, I'm like, wait, is it her daughter? It's not her daughter. They found a different girl.
Yeah.
It's not her daughter. No, she thinks it's her daughter. No, it is her daughter. Okay, well, at least there's a dead body of a girl, but is it her daughter? I don't know.
They're at the docks. She's there with the cops. The divers have gone underneath, which then also is like, okay, so every single time a girl goes missing, they go down and have to search the flooded town. This is why you don't flood a town. It's so much work. But yeah, the divers come up and are signaling like we found something, and then she freaks out and goes running back to her car, and it's like,
yeah.
But like only later it's like kind of just like, yeah, that was her daughter that they found, but she never gets the clear signal like, yes, it was your daughter. We're so sorry, ma'am.
Which is important because like in this moment, to her daughter is dead. She doesn't want to face it. She gets in the car. She starts driving, bolting away. Why does the detective go after her?
Yeah,
Why doesn't he send squad cars?
Yeah,
I don't fully understand that.
Yeah.
But she drives off the mountain road like to kill herself, goes into the water, and she has a vision when she, floats away from the car as it's sinking of seeing her daughter and her daughter saying something like, "Oh, I'm in the happy place now," or something, whatever the fuck. Or what? Come join me, please, mommy.
Yeah. Come play with us.
And then she wakes up in the hospital after being in a coma for 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then she's in that scene. We get confirmation. Yes, that was your daughter that was dead.
Yeah. So it's like, yes, that she has gone on. She's really taken the plunge on all of this without even having direct confirmation from the police that that's her daughter that they found is one thing, and also. This is, I think, part of what is difficult for this movie for me. Annette Bening doesn't have a lot of motivation or a lot of agency for a lot of the movie. Yeah. She is worried about her dreams and confused by them, but she doesn't go to the cops or have to take, action on that. Her husband tries to do it. Her daughter gets taken, and there's not a lot of time spent with us with her during the period that her daughter is missing, of her freaking out, where could she be? I have to find her. What can I do? Pretty quick, we get right to they find her daughter's body. We don't live in that my daughter is missing space. Right. That could have a lot of tension and drama in it for very long. And then even after that, then it's a lot of just her. She's had this mental breakdown. She's recovering at home, but then she's getting tormented by visions, so she winds up in a mental hospital. It's just her seeing dream visions she doesn't want to have that we don't really know where they're coming from, and then other people grabbing her and putting her in different types of cells. Like, she doesn't really start taking action to unfold the plot until kind of the last third of the movie, which is hard to engage with. Yeah, it's just hard to get on board with this protagonist who seems so uninterested in her own life.
It is bizarre because as much as the trope of not believing the victim, is kind of how these sorts of supernatural movies unfold, what that at least allows is for that victim to step into the surrogate investigator role for the audience. And Annette Bening never really does that. She stumbles into clues through circumstance and pursues them, but she's never like, I need to put an end to this. It's just, this keeps happening to me and I want it to stop.
Yeah. She's mainly like sad and bummed out about her visions. She's never like, okay, I'm going to start putting together the pieces, put up the corkboard. I need to solve the mystery to gain peace. It's kind of just... She is as involved in solving the mystery as the dude is in The Big Lebowski. It's kind of like stuff just happens to her and she reacts to it and is confused by it, and the plot continues to move.
When she is in this coma, she starts having more visions of Robert Downey Jr. His name's Vivian, and I want to mention that because it's important. There's a point I want to make.
Yeah, we'll get there once we're talking about the Robert Downey Jr. portions, but yes.
Well, let's start going into it now, because she starts having visions of him as a teenager in the psychiatric ward, and the things he had to do to escape, what he was endured. Like, we full on see, like, this is what I don't understand about admitting him into a psychiatric ward is I get you need to put him somewhere and he's probably troubled.
It seems like, based on the movie.
They throw him into the titty-cut follies. Like, he's put into, electric shock therapy, hydrotherapy. Like, what was it about this abused kid surviving being drowned that required him to, like, undergo everything short of a lobotomy?
Yeah. I mean, I guess on the one hand, in the 60s, they were kind of just like, depending on who was running the mental hospital you were in, you might get some really fucked up stuff done to you. But yes, it's like, or at the very least, like, leaving aside the question of why did he need to have all this stuff happen to him, the movie could make the case that, like, getting the shock treatments are what made him be able to be dream warriors. But but that never is really, we just mainly see it happening more as like what, isn't that fucked up?
Yeah.
But also, I will say the mental health care in this town is weirdly intense because, she is institutionalized after having her apple freak out at the house. And that's the point when she is finally, like, laughing and just joking about, like, yeah, I'm in a serial killer's dreams. Doesn't that make sense to you? Wouldn't you want to die? But then there's a moment then when she runs out of that mental hospital due to a lapse in security and, like, winds up in the middle of the street and causes a huge Final Destination car crash.
Dude, that scene was so distressing to me. Their dog, Toby, I think his name was.
His name seems to be Dobie, which is the same name that they named the baby shark in Anchorman 2, which was very distracting for me.
And also, obviously, a Harry Potter character.
No, Dobby is the Harry Potter character. I hate that I know that.
And here it's Dobie. Dobie and Dobby. Different
Dobie,
things. Got
yes.
it. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
So then the dog runs into the street. She chases after it and causes this massive, like, in the middle of the night on this country road, there are more cars than there are, I think, in the city of Madison.
It is rush hour on the 405 on this 2-lane country road. She chases the dog Dobie into the middle of the street, and then, oh wait, it's a street, there's cars, and she turns and there's a semi-truck bearing down on her, and she had ample time to dive out of the road, but she just freezes and the truck jackknifes and a million cars crash into it.
You say that like, well, if I was in that situation, I would just jump out of the way.
This is Mark Wahlberg talking about Flight 93. If I'd been in the middle of that road, it wouldn't have gone down that way. All those cars would have gotten where they were going safely. But like
this is also the 90s, so the truck that's barreling down on her is filled with flammable material.
No, naturally. Well, trucks in the 90s were either full of flammable material or they were filled with liquid nitrogen, as we learned from Terminator 2.
Yeah.
I saw a liquid nitrogen truck on the freeway the other day, and it was, I think, the first time I'd ever seen a truck full of liquid nitrogen, and being a kid watching Terminator 2 all the time, I was always like, oh, I bet they're just always sending liquid nitrogen out there. That's just a normal thing in the world. It took me to 36 to see my first one. But this huge crash happens. All these cars, I mean, props to the crew. I mean, this was an intense series of car crashes that have nothing to do with the movie.
None.
But then after that, though, they put her in a whole other mental hospital that's like Arkham Asylum. Like, it is intense.
We haven't even talked about Stephen Ray, her psychiatrist.
No, we haven't.
Who is known for working with Neil Jordan in many films, including The Crying Game.
Yeah. I haven't seen The Crying Game. I don't know that I necessarily need to see The Crying Game. What are your Crying Game thoughts?
Well, should I go into this now? Why not? Neil Jordan is a polarizing figure. Because he is one of the few acclaimed filmmakers who continues to get work, at least, through the 90s and early 2000s, that had an interest in telling trans narratives.
Sure. With all the upsides and downsides that entails in the 90s.
Exactly. So it's like, he, to my knowledge, is not a trans person, but the theme keeps coming up in his films. Obviously, The Crying Game is specifically about that. Here, it's hinted at with, Robert Downey Jr. playing a character named Vivian, long hair, wears nail polish. I'm not saying these are the things that identify a trans person, but I'm saying these are the sorts of things that Neil Jordan kind of investigates as part of a trans narrative.
That late in the game in this movie, there's suddenly a lot of gender bending stuff going on with Robert Downey Jr.'s character, which is, again, would have been well served if that had been more of the movie and they hadn't been fucking around with apples and dreams and then suddenly went in this direction.
Yeah, I mean, but he's also explored that in, more explicitly in Breakfast on Pluto, where Cillian Murphy plays a trans person. There's a little bit, I wouldn't call it necessarily trans narratives, but like codification and imagery in the explicitly fable, like in The Company of Wolves, which is, a portmanteau about werewolf stories, including Red Riding Hood. Actually, I just realized the wolf in grandmother's clothing could also kind of fit into that. But anyway.
Wow. So more layers to his work than even we were aware of at the time.
Yeah. How do I feel about him? Hit or miss. I think The Crying Game was shocking when it came out. Not something that I experienced. I saw it much later and knew the twist. And think it's, a melodrama of its time. I highly recommend going to see In the Company of Wolves. That's easily my favorite Neil Jordan movie, but I don't know, he's a little heavy-handed for me.
Yeah, and I think that suits this movie well at times. I think that this movie is at its best. You mentioned a melodrama a second ago, and I feel like once they put Annette Bening in Arkham Asylum, basically, and she's in there just screaming like, "Let me use the phone!" and she's fully freaking out. That's kind of when this movie is at its best, when it's just like, yeah, let's just have it be Annette Bening freaking the fuck out and going nuts. Like, when it is melodrama on that level, it's not succeeding at any of the other, like, mystery, horror, supernatural things it's trying to be, but melodrama, it seems to kind of work in that lane.
Yeah, which is, why not, Truman? I'm gonna bring in my unified theory now.
Okay.
Again, I will preface this by saying I'm not mentioning this glibly. Their addiction is a real thing.
Yes.
I am convinced that this was a very different movie when it started out.
Mm-hmm. When they started filming or when they started developing?
Both.
Okay.
I think that the story was much closer to Bruce Robinson's script of Blue Visions.
Yeah.
But Neil Jordan stepped in as writer by necessity when Robert Downey Jr., in his unstable, unpredictable situations, getting in trouble with the law, going to jail, going to rehab, relapsing, all of that stuff that was happening while this movie was in production, changed the trajectory of what they could film.
Oh.
It's why he only appears in the last 30 minutes of the movie, why it's all kind of in one location and area. He doesn't ever appear in any of the flashbacks.
Yeah.
It's a different actor playing, a teenage Vivian escaping. And I think, so there's no evidence of this on the record that was the case.
Yeah.
I think that Neil Jordan went to the mat for Robert Downey Jr., really wanted to work with him, believed in his talent, and has never to this day acknowledged that that's what happened. But when you look at everything, all of the components here, if you as a director step in as writer, you can change things on the fly. You have that ability, to make those adaptations.
Yeah.
So he's not working with Bruce Robinson. He's working as an in his own world, so that he can write each day, or take some time off, take 2 weeks off, plan what you're going to do to fill in these gaps to change the story.
Yeah.
And we'll do it. And that's why this film takes so many like every 20 to 30 minutes, this movie kind of like goes into a different gear.
Yeah.
That's like, when you just said Arkham Asylum, it's like, yeah, that feels like a strange, like you most stories don't go, okay, grieving mother who's lost her daughter, end up in like a Gothica level insanity story.
She's in,
unless that was intentional from the beginning.
She's in a rubber room in like a facility with like there's a glass, like a unbreakable glass door, and like she's got these two orderlies, one of whom is played by character actress Margot Martindale, just slaying it, who are in there and like being really rough with her. But yeah, she's under a pretty intense incarceration.
My point is, like, if you know you're going to be doing that movie, you're setting that movie up way differently than this movie is set up.
Yeah, with the fairy tale fable, kids in angel wings running around.
And for a director who is so enamored with fables and fairy tales, like, the fact that he set this movie up to be that and then it abandons it at a certain point outside of the Apple imagery, like, that felt like it was done out of necessity. Like, he couldn't continue that. He just had to make some sort of sense of how do you connect this ending with this beginning, and this is what we get.
Yes, that's a really good point, because the movie does start out with almost this kind of very picture book almost feeling to it. They live in this kind of pristine New England house, the outdoor theater play and the angel wings and everything. And then at the end of the movie, it's like convoy of police cars and a SWAT team and a helicopter. It's like kind of like standard like thriller movie ending thing, in any sense of like a fairy tale narrative or vibe has been forgotten.
Because I want to ask you a question, and you alluded to it earlier.
Yeah.
The end of this movie.
Yeah.
When she escapes from this psychiatric ward by having visions of Vivian escaping the psychiatric ward when he was a teenager.
Yeah.
Dressing up in drag, essentially, and seducing someone to drive him away.
He as a teenager, killed a nurse, stole her clothes, made himself, with his feminine features, look like a woman, and seduces one of the guards who's leaving that day to drive her off the property. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you alluded to this earlier. Annette Bening escapes and is confronted with Robert Downey Jr. He escorts her, doesn't really kidnap her. I don't know what you want to classify that as.
She goes to the cider factory where he is and just parks her car, following the visions of him going there when he escaped 30 years prior. And then she just is like, okay, what do I do now? And then Robert Downey Jr. just walks up out of the wilderness, just like, hey, come with me. And she just follows him.
Yes. Here's my thought about this in regards to my unified theory is that what you alluded to earlier is like, this is the guy who killed your daughter, right? And she doesn't really react as that. My question to you is, what do you think the chances are that the girl that he has kidnapped at the end was intended to be her daughter?
That's kind of what that's a big question that I had with this movie, is like, it seems weird that it's all about her trying to save someone else's daughter when there's so much more narrative weight if it's her daughter that's been kidnapped and she's trying to get the kid back. So I'm interested. Why would that change?
Well, my guess is that the first 25 minutes of this movie were probably meant to take place over half the movie.
Okay.
That at the halfway point, she having these visions of seeing him getting closer and closer to his trail of killing these girls needs to stop her, which is what happens in the book. He kidnaps her daughter in order to lure her in, so that he can kill her to stop the visions and continue his killing spree.
I see. Okay, so it's like I have this problem as a serial killer that someone is seeing my dreams. I need to get this person off of the board so I can keep doing my thing.
And the way I'm going to do that is kidnap her daughter to bring her here, and then I will probably end up killing them both.
That sounds like a great narratively cohesive story I would have loved to have seen on the big screen.
And I'm not trying to play Monday morning writer's room with that. I'm just trying to like put the pieces together of what we've seen, what I know of the book after having read it, and like the what we are presented does not make sense.
Yeah.
And those elements to me, in this order that I'm putting them in my head, that's how I can see it making sense.
I love that unified theory. Maybe one of the top unified theories we've done, because that makes so much of what's confounding about this movie click into place. That just okay, we've got this actor who clearly, like, we can't really count on him to do a lot of the stuff that we'd intended for him to do. How do we land this plane, fulfill our contractual obligations to just make the movie? And it's not going to be pretty, but we got to get it done. If we run with that theory and accept that as true, I do respect this movie for being disjointed and cobbled together and strange for a good existential reason, and not just like, oh, we didn't really think the movie through, we just kind of got some money together and did it, you know, which is so often the case with a lot of streaming content or other movies.
Yeah. Or the studio interfered and needed to, like, we need to horror this slow thriller up a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
So what I'm guessing is, like, all of the hysterical stuff of Annette Bening. Why do I keep wanting to call her Anne?
I don't know. Do you know her better than I do? I don't know.
The dream sequence, like the psychotic breakdown sequence with the apples and the computer, the boombox, the Arkham Asylum stuff. All of that stuff, I think, was added after the fact, and probably shot a handful more of, like, okay, if we can't follow Robert Downey Jr. through visions, then we need to follow his backstory through visions. We can shoot that stuff as well and just kind of try to make something make sense.
Yeah. I love this idea that they came to Annette Bening and were like, hey, so we need to restructure the movie, so we're going to give you a lot more scenes where you completely freak out and go nuts. And she was like, tasty, something for the real.
Will I get paid more? No.
I mean, look, I want to say, I want to give snaps to Annette Bening, because she's great. I love Annette Bening no matter what. She's really she's a lot of fun in this. Watching her just, like, go to the crazy place.
Insane to me that this was filmed in 97.
Yeah.
And was released in 1999, the year she won the Academy Award for American Beauty.
Yeah. You're right. And also, like, weren't the Academy Awards were probably like a month after this movie came out?
She would have won in January of 2000.
Oh, in January of 2000. Oh, okay, so there's still a year after this, but yeah.
Yeah, not January, but early 2000 for the previous year.
You can see kind of precursors to some of her, like, you know, freak out coming unglued scenes in American Beauty in her in the asylum here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to dwell briefly on the sequence where she escapes from the mental hospital, though, that kind of, like, ties this together, because it's like she's in there. She realizes that by some coincidence she's been locked up in the same room that Robert Downey Jr.'s character was locked up in.
Doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
It also doesn't make sense that one minute she's in a padded room that's, like, completely featureless and, like, glass door maximum security, and then in the next scene she's in his old room and she has, like, a roommate. There's just old beds in there. There's, like, loose wallpaper on the walls. For someone who has had 2 suicide attempts, there's a lot of stuff that has been left out in this room that is, like, a not good mental health facility procedures. But she then, starts experiencing the visions of how he escaped, these flashback visions, and they were then cross-cutting back and forth between Robert Downey Jr. dressing up as a nurse, escaping, going to the cider factory, and then Annette Bening, you know, managing to get out through an air vent and gets outside and, like, I guess, like, steals a nurse's ID badge, and a guard is driving away, and she, like...
This is where it's cross-cut with her visions of Vivian escaping.
Yeah. And it's one of these things where I'm not clear on, like, wait, are we the audience seeing flashbacks to this, or did she have the whole dream about how the escape happened, or is she hallucinating as she's doing this stuff?
I also kind of was like, is he showing her how to escape by, if he's the one that has control over her visions and inserting him there?
Yes.
Like, I don't know. I don't know.
And so also she's trying to get into a car on the property to drive away, and the security guard who's leaving work that day pulls up behind her and is like, oh, can't get into your car, huh? Because you're a nurse here, right? I'm just assuming you're a nurse, this person trying to escape from this mental hospital. And so she's, oh yeah, can you give me a ride? I left my other keys at an auto shop off the property. And he's like, sure, can I see? And he's like, yeah, sure, can I just see your ID to make sure you're a nurse at this facility? And she's like, oh, it's locked in my car. And he's like, yeah, fine. Sloppy. Sloppy.
So sloppy.
Sloppy behavior.
He drives her off. This guy, I simultaneously feel bad for him and simultaneously don't, because once he drives off, like, they're having small talk. She asks, "Can you put music on the radio?" He's looking at her legs, like he's clearly into her, and they park. She grabs his gun, points it at his head, and like, oh shit, I fucked up. And
yeah, you think?
But she says something like, "I need you to go tell Friedman to go to room 401 at the blank hotel," because there's also, she's having a vision as well of her husband dying, of their dog Dobie eating her husband's face in a hotel room.
Yes, and then her...
Oh god, it's so messy.
Yeah, no, there was a whole thing about... Yeah, there's a whole bit where, like, her... Dobie has gone missing, and then her husband gets a call that Dobie's at this hotel, and he goes to the hotel, and Robert Downey Jr. kills him there. Well, someone kills him, presumably Robert Downey Jr. We don't see them on screen.
Yeah, no. We don't see her husband die on screen,
well,
but we do see the dog, or we do see the detectives bursting in and watching the dog eating his face.
Yeah. Also,
we know it because he's in a pilot uniform.
This motherfucker is never not wearing his pilot. The only jacket he has is the one with the gold rings around the sleeves and the little hat. Like, he wears it to his daughter's recital. I'm pretty sure he wears it to everything. Like how if you're in the military, you can wear your dress uniform to weddings or funerals or anything like that. He's like, well, I'm a pilot, so I just wear this all the time.
Yeah.
But yes, so she gets out, she takes the guard's gun, whatever, tells him all that. And she's done this in the exact same way that Robert Downey Jr. escaped from the facility like 25 years earlier. And I'm just thinking, like, hey, if I'm in charge of the mental hospital and we have one of our patients escapes by posing as a nurse and getting a ride off the property by a security guard, wouldn't we then institute strict policies and procedures to make sure the exact same thing doesn't happen again? Like, wouldn't that be lore among all the guards? Like, oh yeah, back in the 70s, this guard, this idiot, gave some random lady with no ID a ride off the property.
Let's fix the problem earlier. Why have human-sized vents in the cells?
Yeah, air is small. It doesn't have to be... You don't have to have, like, a GoldenEye 64-sized vent you can crawl through.
But you would think, like, oh, someone escaped through that vent before. Let's seal that vent off and put a different one in that is not accessible.
Yeah. And for all the picking apart we're doing, it's like, I now with your unified theory in mind, I can see Neil Jordan in, like, his hotel room pacing around being like, oh god, I gotta figure out what this movie is now. Oh, what can I do? I don't know, we're cross-cutting, and it's a flashback, so it doesn't have to be Robert Downey Jr. playing the killer. Fine. Okay, that works. There's a vent or something, yeah.
I wanna start going into the final act of this.
Of course.
Because there's a lot of things happening here, too, that, like, this is, okay, you've got your actors, your two marquee names that are leading this film finally together in these final scenes. And it's, how would you describe it? It's bizarre. I would have liked to have seen, and by that I mean it would have been uncomfortable and disturbing, but like half the movie in this, like, creating a kind of domestic, like a totally fucked up, perverse domestic life together.
Yes.
In this Apple factory.
Yeah. Well, if we could get away from the Apple imagery, I'd love it more. Yeah, it's again, it's part of what is so off kilter about this, because Robert Downey Jr.'s character is like trying to recreate a nuclear family setup in the little home he's made in the abandoned cider factory, and it's like he's been kidnapping little girls to be the daughter, and then he keeps killing them when they won't cooperate. So he's got this little girl he's taken down there, and the way they're talking at first, it's like he wants to be mommy and he wants a woman down there to be daddy, I think. Like, that's the girl refers to him as mommy a couple times, and
well, yeah. It's, to me, this is an unfinished thought and something that probably got chopped up in editing when they didn't have the pieces together to, bring it to, fruition, which is that idea of roles, gender a little bit, the normative stuff, and how kind of that doesn't fit into these kind of, I don't want to say deranged minds. I'm trying to speak on behalf of the artist, which I don't want to speak for them, but also, like, I do think that's where some of maybe the trans narrative was going to come out if it was going to be there. But it ultimately feels like it devolves into a Psycho knockoff.
Yeah.
Where it's playing on the idea of overbearing and abusive mothers creating psychopaths and needing to recreate the mother in order to destroy the mother.
Yeah. And it in no way connects to dream visions or invading like, nothing about what he's doing here suggests this is a man who has conquered the thin veil between sleepfulness and wakefulness and can invade dreams. This suggests this is a abused individual who has gone around the bend and is trying to work through psychological issues in a harmful way. So it doesn't. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they just kind of went for above ground swimming pool Psycho at the very end.
Yes,
and
yeah, it really just turns into like mainstream horror fodder at this point. Or thriller fodder.
And they don't even fully go for it because they don't have Robert Downey Jr. in drag. Like, there's kind of like hints around this stuff, but we don't get the full thing. And the way it's played, I mean, it's interesting because Annette Bening is very much the whole time acting like she's playing along with his game and trying to kind of manipulate him by talking to him and stuff like that. And then, playing along with it, and then when he's away for a moment, then she tries to get the little girl who he's got captured to escape, but she is Stockholm syndromed and she screams, and then that gets him mad at her, and we get into a fighty chasey bit instead. But yeah, I don't know, like the ideas that are brought up in this short sequence at the end of the movie are big enough to power a lot more movie if they'd had the space and the resources to do it.
Because once Annette Bening pisses him off, or gets him mad, then he punches her in the face in front of the little girl, and then dresses her up in his mom's clothes. How he has his mom's clothes, I don't know exactly, but it doesn't matter. Because he is like, okay, now you're going to be the mommy. You're playing the bad version of mommy. Mm-hmm. And then Annette Bening, in a Friday the 13th move, recognizes this is the way to control him.
Yeah.
So she embodies this, not corduroy, but like this knit suit that she has, and it's a very Hitchcockian outfit.
Yeah.
This whole sequence feels very Hitchcockian as well.
Yes.
Where it's one person inhabiting kind of the spirit of another to control another person, and there's kind of this weird sexual undertone to it.
Yeah.
And
none of it has anything to do with dreams whatsoever.
Nope. And I got so lost in the Hitchcock sauce there that I completely forgot how it goes from her like getting the upper hand to controlling him to going out on the bridge.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just that he's chasing her. At one point she's able to. Oh,
that's when the chase sequence starts, right? So she's able to whisk away the girl to safety, mm-hmm. and then he starts chasing her through the apple. Why do I keep calling it a factory? Whatever the fucking cider mill is.
It's a cider factory. It's a factory that's full of apples, so you could be forgiven for thinking that it's an apple factory. It's where they make all those phones.
But he starts chasing her, and it turns full slasher movie at this because he gets some sort of slashing implement, and he's swiping at her as she has narrow misses, and goes up to the top of this silo, and she's like, I'm gonna jump, and he's like, you're not gonna jump, and she jumps 2 stories onto apples. Now I realize apples aren't concrete. Apples still aren't soft.
Yeah.
I don't think you're gonna just get up and not be winded after landing a 2-story jump onto some apples.
She lands flat on her back on a huge pile of apples, and I'm also, this the cider factory has been abandoned seemingly for like 30 years. So why are there still like some relatively intact apples in the silo? I mean,
mostly intact apples, actually.
Yeah, if they're like they should be so badly rotted that she just smooshes through all of them and it's her dead in a thing of really badly rotten applesauce.
All the maggots and I had my nightmare. No, thank you.
Okay, but that's more scary apple imagery that is more on brand than the rest of this movie.
That's a fair point. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then she jumps and starts running away, and he starts chasing her. They end up on this bridge, and the cops have been on their tail the whole time because they find the dead body of her husband. Whatever. Who the fuck cares?
It is so like her psychologist or whatever like realizes that, oh shit, she was in the same room as this creepy guy and who escaped 25 years ago, and that must be the person who's killing the kids. And then it's just like, oh, someone saw the security guard's stolen car going towards the apple cider factory. They're like, well, we're gonna go there. The movie's almost over.
There's this throwaway moment when the psychiatrist goes into her cell because she's been talking about Vivian and like she has a name for him now, and like tells him this is the guy. The rhyme is on my cell. He pieces it together, finds the husband with the chewed off face, goes to the cell, sees the nursery rhyme, and kind of has this "it's been true all along" moment.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, we got to get to the place, the cider mill, whatever
the apple factory,
and he runs off, and there's these two doctors left over in the scene where he goes, "I'm lost, doctor."
Yeah.
And the other guy goes, "Join the club." And I'm like, what a fucking line of dialogue to put in your movie at the most incomprehensible moment.
You know, what is it the old adage about writing? Every day write one true thing. That was the true thing that he wrote during that day of trying to get this script reworked. But yeah.
And then what happens for the rest of it is just like such 90s end of the action movie fodder where there's helicopters trying to snipe
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. holding her hostage, and they both fall off the side of the bridge into the water, etc., etc.
Yeah, and they fall into the water, and this time she drowns. She goes in the water, and Annette Bening dies at the end of the movie. She goes under the water. She sees a vision of her daughter going like, "Come with me, mommy." Her daughter's not British. All children are British.
Come where? Come home.
Yeah, and so she drifts towards her daughter, and the cops pull her dead body out of the water, and then Robert Downey Jr. is put on trial. I thought the court scene was very efficiently filmed because it's all super close on the judge and super close on Robert Downey Jr. Are we building a courtroom set? No, we are not. And then he gets put into an insane asylum. Is it the same cell that was used in an earlier shot? Yes. And he's in the, so he's like, they sentence him to life in the nut house, and he's like, I can live with that. And they put him in the cell, and he's like, I can live with this.
I don't understand that. I don't understand. Like, his whole thing was, I got to get out of the cell, and he got out of the cell as a teenager. Why can he now suddenly be okay with being in a cell?
Yeah, I don't know what he achieved. Like, it's important for the just the beats of the last scene in the movie for him to be like, yeah, I'm gonna spend the rest of my life in a cell, but I actually don't mind it that much. Like, it makes sense for what's about to happen. It does not make like, he didn't get any of what he wanted, and like, he didn't get to rebuild his perfect nuclear family.
No. So why is he okay with this here? I don't know. But he's not okay with it, Truman.
No, he's not.
Why is he not okay with it?
Because as he's walking around his cell, spooky, creepy stuff starts happening in there, and like, oh no, the walls are bleeding, and they're writing sweet dreams in blood, and like, he goes up to the mirror, and like, hands come out of the mirror and pull his face into the mirror and smash him, and he's like freaking out and scared. And what is implied is that mild-mannered children's book author Annette Bening has now died and joined her daughter in the afterlife, but has also resolved to torment Robert Downey Jr. forever through his dreams.
This is a fucking Freddy Krueger-ass origin story if I've ever seen one.
I love that Neil Jordan was like, he had to improvise, and so it's like, what am I going to do? I'm going to whip up a bunch of Hitchcock stuff and also some Nightmare on Elm Street stuff. Like, just take, what are some other iconic horror movies from the past 30 years? Okay.
Yeah, it's fucking all over the place. Because you just gotta end on a jolt. There's another adage. It's like, if you start and end well, the middle doesn't matter.
Well,
I think that's true. I think that's a truism. I think every film, if you have a good ending, regardless of how quality the rest of the film is, it becomes a classic.
I mean, I don't know. I could engage with that, but I'm still just sitting here trying to get my head around like how did she learn it puts such a supernatural ending on this movie.
Yes.
Where they've abandoned the dream stuff entirely for the last 30 minutes, and it's all Hitchcock gender swap stuff and chasing around with a knife.
Not entirely. There is one that I thought was kind of
okay.
Has one of the more fun lines where when he punches her and knocks her out, she has a vision of drowning, and she's like, okay, I know how I'm gonna die. And so when she's trying to escape, she's like, I know you're not gonna kill me, I die in a body of water. And he's got the gun in his hand. He's like, well, maybe you develop a limp, as he tries to shoot her in the foot. And she had removed all the bullets from the gun, and I was just like, oh, that was kind of a fun
fun. Yeah, it was a nice bit. That was a nice bit. The fact that she's haunting him from beyond the grave, she's not ever learned any mastery or control of the dreams. We don't really see how that's happened. Moreover, at no point in
it's not even a curse that she's passed on to him.
No, it's not. And at no point in the movie also has she ever seemed particularly vindictive or revenge motivated. She's mostly just sad or desperate. And then off camera, we're just led to believe, okay, no, she's a sick fuck and she wants to torture this guy forever. She never seems that mad at him, even when they're fighting in the apple factory. There's never any you killed my daughter, you piece of shit.
Yeah. I will say, keep the movie exactly as is. I might actually enjoy it if Annette Bening was a little metal throughout the whole movie.
Like in what way? She's wearing black and rocking
just
out.
Just fuck you, you sick fuck sort of mentality through the whole movie.
Yeah. No, I like that. If she had more of, if this movie was set on Long Island or something like that, if she was played by Katie Seagal or something like that, or Lorraine Bracco playing Annette Bening's role.
If she was the type of character that at that final moment when they go over the edge of the bridge into the water, she's like, send me down the river, baby.
Oh my God. Cool way to die. Question quickly. I know we're nearing the end.
Yeah.
Is Robert Downey Jr. good in this?
No.
Okay. I kind of thought yes.
What I think it shows is his natural talent.
He's charismatic.
I think under non-influential materials going through his body, he might have made some different choices.
Sure.
But I think, I'm not going to call it a lazy performance. I mean, he definitely tries something, but I think it's a little more rough around the edges than
Chaplin.
he was known for before this, and he's known for after this.
Yeah.
I think it was just throwing some stuff together, and it was kind of this is what you come up with when you first see yourself in the wig in the trailer. What kind of character is this going to be?
Yeah.
And it just went from that to screen as opposed to developing it a little bit. Why is he wearing blue contact lenses in this movie?
What?
That's a stupid thing.
We gotta stop.
That's a dumb, stupid thing.
Gotta stop watching contact lens leading man movies.
And I'm wondering, if I think it's stupid because it's the exact contact lenses he wears in Tropic Thunder when he's making fun of himself, but also if he was wearing those blue contact lenses in Tropic Thunder making fun of himself as a kind of subtle poke at this movie.
I don't think he remembers making this movie.
No.
This is a forgotten movie for him as much as it is for the rest of the world. I don't think anyone's poking fun at In Dreams.
I just mean in Tropic Thunder, when he's wearing those blue contact lenses, he is playing a character who needs to wear contact lenses in order to play a character.
Sure.
And I think he's subtly making fun of the type of actor he thought he was during this movie.
I get that. That makes sense. I when I was watching this, I was really into Robert Downey Jr.'s performance. I thought, like, okay, he's really going for it. And also, it's just, like, the movie's just more exciting when he's on screen, just because there's, like, finally, like, Annette Bening has something to react to that isn't just, like, apples. But,
yeah.
I guess, but then, you sent me those clips of Robert Downey Jr. doing the press junkets for this movie, and I kind of realized, oh, okay, yeah, he is just doing the very animated, over-the-top stuff that he was always doing at that time thing. Yeah. So I guess I like the performance a little less in retrospect.
Truman, I just now realized we hit the quadrifecta.
Yeah.
The season. We've hit the 4 idiosyncratic actors that exist.
Oh, all 4 of them?
Christopher Walken.
Of course.
Matthew Lillard. Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
And Robert Downey Jr.
Wow. That's a lot of leading men. Yeah, so those are the only idiosyncratic lead actors.
Well, I just mean the actors that are going to give you a line reading you never expected. Even if it's word for word on the page,
sure.
Like, you never know what the emphasis is going to be. You never know, like, how the rhythm is going to come out of their mouth, and it makes it exciting. And I think that's what is being displayed here. It's just that natural talent that Robert Downey Jr. has for making something dynamic and exciting, even if he's, like, a mess.
Yeah, true. I mean, yeah, you never really know what you're getting with him, and and again, in a movie that was not really full of thrills for me, to get in these scenes with him where there's like, oh, I have some sense of mystery of what's going to happen next. I don't know what these scenes are going to play out like. That was refreshing.
Yeah. Well, okay. Let's start to wrap this up and ask the question we always ask: why was this forgotten?
Well, I mean, I think your unified theory is the real answer to it, and maybe you'll talk more about that. But I mean, speaking as an audience coming in and not knowing about what was going on in the background, I mean, this is a movie that is trying really hard to be Silence of the Lambs or Seven. It's trying to be the creepy procedural investigation movie. It is the really spooky mystery movie, like you were saying earlier. It has the kind of highbrow thing of like, no, this is a drama about police looking for someone, but it's also fucked up. And so
don't get your horror stank on my stuff.
Yes, exactly. Keep it in a Ziploc bag. But because the movie, the movie is trying to go for that visually, but it never really, it never, you've got an inactive protagonist, you've got dream imagery that is not nearly as powerful as other movies that were doing dream sequence stuff at this point in time, and you can't put something like that out there in a world where people have seen Silence of the Lambs and Seven and have them it's not going to make an impression on audiences who have already had the bar set at that level. So, I mean, ultimately, it's not good as a mystery because there's really no clues to follow or figure out.
No.
That you're not learning anything from the dream sequences even that give you any hints.
There's not even really anything to investigate.
No, not really. She just gets, everything she learns from seeing a flashback to something that Robert Downey Jr. did. It's no good as a trippy, freak-out, crazy movie because it's not trippy enough.
Right.
And then it's no good as a horror movie because it's not scary enough. It's grotesque a couple times, but it's not, actively frightening or creepy. So you're left wanting in every department.
Yeah, I agree.
Why do you think it was forgotten?
Yeah, everything that you just said. And something occurred to me on the second watch, which I felt kind of insane because the movie made less sense to me the second time I watched it. And I'm like, how is that even possible?
Yeah.
But what occurred to me was what we're left with amongst this debacle is very reminiscent of the Italian thrillers, the giallo films, which are very incomprehensible plot-wise. You're not really sure what you're following half the time, but there's a lot of violent imagery. There's some exploitation,
Sure.
I feel like this film doesn't go trashy necessarily, but
no.
it leans in the shock territory a little bit.
This movie is incredibly dark. I mean, when you think about it,
Yes.
like, Annette Bening's daughter dies, her husband dies, she dies, there are multiple suicide attempts. Like, it is a grim movie.
Yep. And that's also true of a lot of giallo films. So, like, but the thing that makes giallo interesting is the exact same thing that you just described, which is, like, it knows it's incomprehensible and so leans into the kind of surreal atmosphere.
Yeah.
This one, I think, pulls back from being surreal, even though it kind of wants to be.
Yeah.
Like, naturally is heading in that direction, but it's like, no, we have to make this make sense to the mainstream audience.
Yeah.
And so pulls back from that. And if it had gone, you know, and I think you could have just done that in the editing.
Oh, sure.
Made this more surreal. Then I think it would have been an experience rather than anything that made sense, but something you would remember. But to your point, yeah, it's perfectly calibrated in every regard to not be something you remember.
Yeah. I mean, you know, look, cinematographer Darius Kanji worked on Eddington, a movie that, as it goes on, becomes confusing and difficult to follow by intention and design, and it's executed well, and that makes it very memorable. And, like, a movie not making sense is not in and of itself a problem. It's when the movie doesn't fully commit to that and turn that into the experience.
I would go so far as to say I love when a movie stops making sense.
I'm
hoping in that pause there you just started playing "This Must Be the Place."
Yes, no, I have that. I have that on my soundboard. I'm just over here dancing with a lamp. God.
All right, well, should we send this back to modern memory or leave it forgotten out here in the visions of 1999?
I hate to say it, Landon. I low-key think we should remember this one for a couple of reasons.
Okay, go for them.
Annette Bening's freakouts, I think, are really fun, and I think that this movie could have a certain level of camp quality to it, watching her go so nuts. I think it's an interesting Robert Downey Jr. artifact as someone who also, like, as someone who was not, like, I really got on board with Robert Downey Jr. circa Kiss Kiss Bang Bang when he was making his resurgence, and then he got involved with some franchise or something. I don't really remember what happened next. But so seeing this younger version of him and kind of this glimpse into, hey, here's a movie from early in his career where kind of his personal demons potentially fucked up the whole thing. I think that's interesting. I think the performance is interesting, even if it is maybe kind of lazy. And I think the movie looks, again, it's not like Background at a Party with the Sound Off movie, but wait, did I say this about Skeleton Key, that this is a movie I'd watch with the sound off in a bar? Because I feel like...
I don't know. You say some version of that to every movie, I feel like.
Most of them, but I don't know. I can't quite put my finger on why, but even with so much shit going wrong in this movie, it's a certain kind of 90s thriller cheese that I have a little bit of affection for, and I can't really describe why, even though I've been quite critical about the movie. I don't know. Maybe it's just that it's too hot in the room where I'm recording this right now. I could be dying.
Yeah, I don't begrudge you that at all. I also have a soft spot for 90s thrillers and supernatural nonsense, but I'm going to choose to leave it forgotten because I think you can find good examples of everything you listed elsewhere. However, is it possible to, like, say, we don't need to remember this by watching it? Can I return to where I was before seeing this movie of just knowing it exists? That's all I really need to know about this movie. I just need to know there's a movie that exists in a form that was totally fucked up by a certain amount of circumstances and salvaged by determined filmmakers. You kind of vague symbolic visions of this movie that creep you out and make you throw a computer out the window. I mean, look, I think I think also that's why I want to remember this movie, is because it is a case of something that happens very often in the film industry where it's
the crew and people above the line trying to improvise and just make something. There's a disaster, but we have to finish the movie. I have been involved in productions like this where it's just like, this is gonna suck, but we're all gonna get sued if we don't finish making the thing.
Yes.
Because they already gave us the money. So we have to make something. It doesn't matter if it kind of sucks. And I salute that process.
Yeah, I'll fully admit this is a fascinating disaster.
Yes. We should just call this podcast Fascinating Disasters.
It's the name of my biography. Shall we end this and pick up some loose ends next week?
I think we absolutely should, because this movie has quite a lot of loose ends.
All right, well, until next week, for Truman Caps, I have been Landon Solano.
And for Landon Solano, I've been Truman Caps. Sweet dreams, everybody.
Whoa!
Movie Memory Machine is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. Join our Patreon at patreon.com/gruntworkpod to keep the machine running. Theme song by Porky's Groove Machine. Rate us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. For more information on today's show, visit moviememorymachine.com.